So some of you guys have done this already, just not necessarily for 2021. Okay. All right. So for those of you who already have this, it's a reminder. For those of you who don't, we're going to do it together and I'm going to talk you through it. So the first thing is in your top box, whether it's the box or the list version, this is where you put your main business objective or goal for 2021. A couple of things to note about what this goal should be to make it a SMART goal and something that you are able to actually track and work towards is it should be something that is measurable or quantifiable. And what I mean by that is it should be something related to either, and your options are, and I'm going to give you 3 options. Now you can make it anything you want, but I'm going to tell you what's most effective. What's most effective is a sales volume goal, a number, right? I want to sell 10 million or 20 million or 100 million or whatever you want to do, sales volume goal, or a unit goal. I want to sell 15 homes this year or whatever that number is. Or the third thing would be gross commission income. Now you can use net income, although I don't highly recommend it because based on the economic model and the budget model, there's so many variables there and your taxes. So I'm going to say work with gross commission income. It's easy to calculate. You can figure it out based on your average price point and how many units. So your 3 options are sales volume, units, gross. What is the purpose of putting the priority? How does the priority relate to your business objective or your overall goal for the year?
It's the 3 priorities that by accomplishing them, you can accomplish your one goal. So if you accomplish the 3 priorities, then you reach your one goal. And then the strategy, then the strategies are the breakdown of how to accomplish each of the priorities. Is that right?
Thank you, Tony. Yes. So another way to phrase that would be the way that I like to phrase it, to think about it clearly, is that your 3 priorities are going to be where your business comes from. Okay. So when you think about priority number 1 and you think about, I want to close 300,000 in GCI, or I want to close 20 units, where are those closings coming from? Where is the business going to come from? So what might one priority be? And those of you who've taken a business planning with me or have done this with me as coaching you, 99.9% of the time, what is priority number 1, or at least one of your 3 priorities? It's going to be on all of your business plans.
Database.
That is going to be your database. Thank you, Tony. So it is going to be database, which is how I say it, database, tomato, tomato, whatever, / sphere of influence, okay? Now your sphere of influence in your database are mostly interchangeable. I mean, if you can get into some minutia there and say that they're separate in certain ways based on your relationship with them, but we're gonna say sphere of influence is what I'm going to call it, which is essentially going to be every name that's in your database. So priority number 1, or one of your 3 priorities, should be your, I just say SOI, you could say SOI, you could say database, whatever. So it's going to be sphere of influence or database. Is there anyone on this call that does not have sphere of influence as one priority, or doesn't think that that would be one of their 3 priorities? And I just to have a conversation, because I want to know if there's, again, very, very, very rarely is it not one of the 3. Okay. So priority 1 is sphere of influence database. So now what we're going to do is, before we get to, well, let's do your other 2 priorities first, then we'll go into strategies. Okay, so priority number 2, this can vary depending on, so if you're a seasoned agent, meaning you are not brand new, and this isn't your first year, the question that I typically ask, so I coach a lot of our top agents, and when we're doing this together, What I'm looking for is where their business has come from. They actually have a history. They have something they can go to and say, well, wait a minute, why would I reinvent the wheel? I am getting business from X. So why don't I get better at that? So for those of you who are more seasoned agents, or this isn't your first year of real estate, where have you found, when you take a look at where your business has come from in the past, and we can look at the last 12 months or the last 24 months, because that's usually the most relevant and timely. Because if you tell me 10 years ago your business came from open house, I'm going to say you might want to have something else as a priority, because open houses do not produce the same kind of results that they did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It's a different world. So in the last 12 months to 24 months, what has been an area that your business has come from? Think about your past clients and your closed transactions in the last 12 and 24 months. Where has your business come from? So those of you who are on the call that this would apply to, give me an answer to that question. Where does your business come from now, and where has it come from in the last 12 to 24 months? Other than your sphere.
Oh, yeah. KW agent referrals for me.
Okay. So Rochelle says KW agent referrals. Okay. So what we might do is decide, so if that's a good chunk of the business, let's be purposeful about that and make it a priority and figure out how to do better and get more business from there. So I'm going to say KW agent referrals. Now, this may not be the case for other of you, and we'll talk about more priorities, but that's a great example. Thank you, Rochelle. Anybody else have something where their business has come from that they would like to share with people, which also gives newer agents, those of you who haven't done this before, this is your first year, ideas of things that you might want to add to this list. Another tip on figuring out priorities, if you have no idea what to put, is in your MREA book, there is a list. Hang on, I'm sorry, I just got to go to the chat box and let people in or read what people are writing here. Okay. I'm just gonna, so some people are writing in the chat box. Sphere of influence. Oh, Sean, thank you for answering primary priority. And referrals in Facebook. Okay, so Stacy says Facebook. Nicole says, and Tim says social media and farming. Yeah, so there is a list. I think it's page 100 and I should have the book with me, but I'm not in the office today. I'm actually working from home. Does anybody know, Nicole, do you know what page that list of sources is? There is a database is saying Sean is saying database and sphere of influence. So there is a page in the MREA book, can't think of what it is exactly, and it's your sources. And it actually gives you a list of all the places business can come from. So if you're not sure, and I'll give somebody a bonus point, Stacy, for finding it and letting me know what page it is. Okay, she's looking, she's gonna pull the book. So that gives you ideas of where your business may come from. Those are all great. So I'm gonna tell you that the top priorities, so another priority that is a very common one that a lot of people do get business from other than their sphere of influence and database is, well, there's a couple of different ones. One is maybe a social strategy. So we have some agents that do a pretty good job at getting business through their social strategy, whether that is Facebook and Instagram, whether it is interacting with people on there, whether they have a page that is community-based or their own Facebook page that they get a lot of business from. That's one. Or they could do a social campaign with ads, which would go under a marketing header. So marketing would be one, farming is one, open houses can be, depending on, if you're doing open houses, though, you really have to be purposeful, which I know you're learning in Ignite and by taking Lee Potts's open house class. That's going to give you some tips of how to drive traffic to open houses. You want to make open houses active and not passive. If you're going to make that one of your choices, do not just go, I'm going to sit in open house and hope somebody shows up. That's not a good strategy as a priority where you're really going to get a good chunk of business from it, especially where we're focused now on capturing leads and clients online before they even set foot on Maui. So just a tip there as far as open houses. What's another one that some of you have that we haven't discussed as a priority, or what would be a priority in your 135 here? Those of you who've done it, what's a priority? Those of you who haven't, what's an idea that you have? Anything we haven't talked about? So I'll give you another example, which right now is not necessarily, unless you're really creative about how you do this, this isn't going to work as well as a priority, but I can tell you a really strong one in the past for agents has been networking or events or client appreciation events or systems. So one could be networking. If you really like to get out into the community and do networking, you have to be very purposeful about that. Another one is you could do something where you're changing your format of what you've done to an online or Zoom strategy. And then the third thing is for those agents who may be in the process of team building. So priority number 3, when you're a seasoned agent and you have a really strong business. So again, some of our top agents, their priority number 3 is not actually focusing on a lead generation strategy per se, but they turn something that's systems into lead generation. So priority number 3 might be, I'm going to work on my internal organization, my org chart. I'm going to hire another agent to be on my team. I'm going to hire a virtual assistant. I'm going to hire an inside sales agent. That may be priority number 3, which would be under the header of organization or org chart. You may also want to implement systems in your business that you haven't implemented as a priority. If you're a really high level agent, that could be, I'm going to focus on upping my customer service game for my clients, and I'm going to create systems around that. And that's going to bring me more business. So, which can be a strategy under priority number 1, but it's for some agents, it's its own priority. So what shall we put for priority number 3? What would you guys like to put based on what you're going to have on your sheets? And then we can do strategies together.
Lots of Mai Tais.
Mai Tais, Jonathan says. Okay, how about we do you want to do networking, Jonathan?
Yeah, networking is great. Or networking is definitely a plus. Oh, yeah. Also, I was also just going to say there's a lot of newer methods that I would put into the whole kind of file of social media, social marketing.
Yeah. So what do you think? So based on who's on this call, should we do networking or you want to go social strategies?
I think they're both great.
Okay. Why don't we, well, if we have time, we'll do both. So how's that? I'm looking for votes.
Yeah, I'm curious. What does everybody else think? I mean, I'm saying both of those are good, would be good priorities to focus on.
Let's focus on social, because right now in the environment we're in, it's more conducive.
Okay, so I'm going to call that social marketing. Okay, because it's really under marketing. And thank you, everybody saying social. And then there can be things that we're going to overlap when we look at strategies a little bit. So now we've got 3 priorities. So what I want you guys to do, I'm trusting you're doing this with me in your own document that you've opened up that we sent you, and you're typing in yours. So anybody, I would like to hear who else has other priorities that we don't have on here and what you've written.
Lisa, I have commercial real estate as one of my priorities.
Great, and that is one of your things. So you have a specific priority for commercial, which is going to contribute to some of the closings, and that's going to lead to either your GCI or your units or your volume, whatever you put. Okay, great. I love that. So commercial, so that for Tony, that makes sense. What else? Who else has some other priority?
Luxury.
Luxury. Okay, great. So that's great. So it could be specific luxury. that can also be, so you can be luxury specific. That's good. The other thing you can do is work the luxury into what your average price point is. So say you decided that you want to close, again, 300,000 in GCI, or you want to close 20 units, or you want to close 20 million in sales volume. That may also depend on what your average price point is in terms of how many units you're going to close, right? So those are some of the sub things that we do on the side when you're figuring it out. Marcus says priority is an increased profit share. I love that, Marcus. So yes, that's a great, you can do priority number 3 is to, and what I would do, Marcus, is make the category passive income or wealth building. Or, I mean, you could make it specifically profit share if that's 100% what you're going to focus on is how to increase your profit share. You also can make it just wealth building, and profit share is one of those strategies that you work. So that's up to you. Okay, so I got sidetracked. What did I, so average price point. So say I want to close 300,000 in GCI, and I'm basing that off of a 2 3/4% commission, because I'm going to say that's my average commission. So now we want to figure out how many units do I want to close, and to get that 300,000 in GCI, and then what does my average price point need to be? So if I'm a seasoned agent, what I'm going to do is look at my past experience, and I'm going to pull what my average price point is, because I have my own multi-year trends report. So let's say I go back and I look at what my average price point was last year, and it was $900,000. Okay. And I know that my average commission was 2.75. That would give me 24,750 as my average gross commission income per transaction. So now if I want to close 300,000 in GCI, I'm going to take 300,000. I'm going to divide it by 24,750, and that's 12.12 transactions. And we're always going to round which direction when we have a decimal. Which direction do you think we always round?
Oh.
Yes, good answer, Marcus. So I'm going to say 13 transactions. Okay, so I need to close 13 transactions at 900,000. Now, as I'm going through this and we're working it, thank you, Celeste, up, as we're working this throughout the year, you can see where I can monitor this and I can course correct if I'm not hitting that. So what I might do is I might put a little side note in here that says 13 units at 900K. Or I could just put it to the side, but this just gives me how I figured out that I was going to get to that 300. So now I actually have kind of everything in there, because also if I'm closing 13 units at 900K, that puts me times 13, that makes my volume 11.7 million. Okay. So we just figured out everything. Now, the reason I don't necessarily want you to focus on all of these things, why would it not be a good idea to focus on all of these different categories at the same time?
Overextend yourself and your focus gets spread too much.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Plus, we're supposed to do the one thing.
Yes.
One thing.
Thank you. Yeah, those are both right answers. So what happens if you start your brain, Raiden says too much going on. That's totally right. So what happens is your brain, you want your brain to focus on one thing, which is your 300,000 in GCI. And you know that that can be done in a variety of ways. So it doesn't really matter if I hit the 13 units at 900,000 or I hit 18 units at various price points, or I hit right? Does it make sense? Because it's going to be dictated also. I'm only going to have so much control over my average price point. So I know though, that if I take a couple of listings at, I take some condos at 600 or 600 to 700, I'm going to have to up my units. And I can do that as I go, as long as I keep my eye on the prize, which is that 300,000 in GCI. And I don't frankly care how I get there. this would be nice. This gives me an idea of what to shoot for. And it does give me some focus for my mind to say, okay, I'm going to track 900,000 and up listings or buyers. Again, we have limited control over that. So we want to focus on this, and let me just make that bigger. Okay, so however you do that, or this can go out to the side, or this is something you can put on your 411 when you go to the next place. I'm just thinking where I could like put this. That is not. Hang on. Okay, well, you get the idea. It's hidden back there now. I'm going to get rid of it. All right, we're going to get rid of that. Okay, 13 units, 900, K average, SP, etc. Okay, so we might put it somewhere, but we want to focus on this. So next, so now let's go to our strategies section. Any questions, by the way, about any of that so far? You guys are doing this with me, right? I want to make sure you walk away with like actually having this done.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Deanna. All right, so now what we're going to do is talk about strategies. So we've already determined, you can see my page, right? Wait, let me just make sure I'm still, oh, oops, hold on. Okay, you got that. All right, so sphere of influence database, which is my favorite priority for a lot of reasons. The main one being it's going to give you your highest conversion rate typically. I mean, like it's just nothing gives you as high of a conversion rate as you can get from your sphere. And I'm going to give you an example of this. Jonathan can attest to this. So we have been doing a lead team and we've been pulling leads from Facebook, now Google pay-per-click. We've been pulling farming lists. We've been circle prospecting, which has a fairly decent conversion rate, you know, going in order from least conversion rate to highest. And then lo and behold, Jonathan hired an ISA to start calling through his, hopefully this is okay, Jonathan, to start calling through his database.
All good, all good.
Okay. And then with the first 2 weeks of actually reaching out to Jonathan's database, he got like what, 2 or 3 appointments in your first 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, exactly.
So you guys calling, an ISA calling, a combination of the two. Karen, same thing, right? We did this with you, Karen. I gave you homework. I said, you're going to make X number of calls. Well, I asked you what you want to commit to. You agreed to make X number of phone calls. Remember in the first 2 weeks that you did that, Karen, you already put deals in escrow. I mean, you got buyers, you got a listing. So, yes. So this is what works, you guys. And that's why we always want it as a priority and typically priority number 1, which by the way, number 1, number 2, number 3 doesn't mean it's more important. It's just, it tends to be number 1. All right. So that said, what would be a strategy around your sphere of influence to help you? And a strategy is, so what is a strategy? I'm going to let you guys answer first. What is a strategy? What do you think a strategy is?
This kind of might qualify as a strategy. This is Jonathan. I was just going to say delegation where necessary. I mean, I'm the first to admit that I have been terribly delinquent when it comes to making calls in my database. Even though I've done bold and everything else, there's just a lot of names that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll get to that tomorrow. And the realization that the delegation in terms of working with that ISA was I have like tapped into resources in my database. So if somebody is even making an attempt to call, you know, that something can come from it. So yeah, that was, and then you mentioned that it's had really good results just because there are people, you know, there's like 3 people that I was like, I forgot that they were like, oh yeah, I'd like to buy or sell within the next 3 to 6 months. So that the fact that call was made, even though it wasn't me, was very effective. So strategy in that sense might be delegation.
Okay, great. Yes. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, I would say to be more specific than if you're using delegation, which you can certainly do, and say, okay, I'm gonna maximize. So the strategy is what can you do to maximize getting results for that priority, which is going to lead to your overall objective. And so one would be, in this particular example, would be hire an ISA, period. So it's a specific thing that you're going to do. If you're going to delegate out your sphere of influence, you're either going to hire an ISA to make calls for you, or you're going to hire a VA to create systems, right? And you could also figure out what systems you want to create. So Jonathan, you could also say, and everybody else, I'm going to call, this is actually the way we typically do it. So if you say, if I called and touched 20 people in my database every day, or 10, which is your daily 10-4, that's what I'm going to commit to. That will produce results for me. So let's just say I decided that I was going to touch 10 people in my database, voice to voice, every day. I'm going to say 10, and we break this down in your 411, but I'm just going to say 10, 10 contacts. Well, let's say 10, because these are existing people. 10 calls, and I'm going to say contacts because we want voice to voice, daily. And you could also say annually what this would be, but that's going to freak you out probably. So let's just say 10 daily. So then we would say, okay, is that you making the calls and having the voice-to-voice contacts every day, or is it somebody else? And if it's somebody else, then you're going to put, ISA or hire ISA. Okay, so 10 calls. If it's you, great, then it's you. Or maybe it's 20 calls or contacts, voice to voice, daily, and you have an ISA doing 10, and the goal is they're going to talk to 10 people and you're going to talk to 10 people. So basically, the strategy is what you want to accomplish with that, if that makes sense. Stacy says, yeah, who am I adding today? Asking yourself that question. Nicole says, put in how many people you're going to add to your database in a year. Yeah, so that would be another thing that you would do, is how many additional people you're going to add. So your number one strategy may be, I'm going to talk to this many people every day that are existing in my database. And my number two strategy may be, I'm going to add, 10 or 20 new contacts daily. And again, this is typically going to be you, because you're the person that's reaching out and talking to people, but it could be, you could have somebody making calls that are to a farm for you, or you're making farming, circle prospecting calls. These would be people that you would just talk to about real estate everywhere you go. Somebody made a comment that whenever they're with me, that I always do that. For me, it's a natural thing. I mean, I've been doing it for so long. And this is the good news for those of you who are newer in real estate, that it may feel weird to have those conversations with people right now. Honestly, eventually, it's so ingrained in what you do every day, which is why time on task is so important, and why really treating this like a business and working in your business every day is important, because you then become knowledgeable and you gain that expertise and that confidence, that it just is part of your life. It's not like, oh, now I got to do my real estate stuff. It's like, I'm just doing my real estate stuff every day because it's what I do. And so that will happen the more you create it. It's kind of like, somebody says, like, if you say something long enough, or then it actually happens, or you believe it long enough, it actually happens, or you manifest it. So just do the work and have the conversations, and people will expect it. And then you become the expert. So it's not like I'm trying to sell you on anything. It's, I know you're going to talk about real estate because that's your life. That's what you do. So add new contacts daily. That could be another strategy, is specific. The other thing is, do I even use command? And do I have my contacts in there? So a lot of agents may not even, some of you may be working from other database, or not even have your database set up and running. Getting your database functioning at a high level is really the most important thing, because otherwise it doesn't matter who you talk to, because if you don't put them in your database and have a follow-up system for them, you're not going to close. You're not going to do a transaction. They're going to go do it with somebody else, because what percentage of deals happen in the follow-up versus in initial contact? Who can tell me what percentage of transactions happen in the follow-up process?
I'd say the majority of them, because you have to touch them right away. But if you don't follow up, there's no use in touching them. And I'm a prime example. If I let people drop, they drop and they go to somebody else.
Yep. Says Karen, who does 18 million a year in sales, you know, like, so it's not like this isn't a common thing. Although next year, Karen, you're doubling that. I know it already. Okay. So,
exactly.
So what I would put in here, if you don't have it, which would probably be your first thing, is get all your people transferred into Command and get them on a smart plan, a follow-up system of some kind. So I'm just going to put, you know, all contacts into Command. And then I'm going to put, and on smart plans. I'm just going to make it one. It's a big one. So again, going back to the conversation with Jonathan about delegation, the who is one of the next questions you ask. We're going to assume it's always you, unless it's not going to be you, and it doesn't have to be you. But if somebody else is going to be putting your contacts into Command, like a VA or your kid, who you can put to work because they're homeschooling, like whatever, dude, pay them $5 to put like, you know, whatever, 100 contacts in your Command from your phone or from your Gmail or from your Facebook or whatever. And then put them on smart plans. Tagging would be another thing. I mean, it could be that you're tagging them. So, and sorting them. It just, what people will get too in depth is into like the process of going through and trying to condition who may want to buy or sell and who's an A and who's a B and who's a C. Let that rise on its own, you guys. Your A's are going to be the people who do business with you and then refer you business. That you may not even know who that is yet. So don't worry too much about like sorting and tagging as much as getting them in there and getting them on smart plans. Okay, I'm looking at your chat box. Hang on. Let me just go back a minute, make sure I caught. Yes, okay. So Sean, you can make your comments public if you want to, because you have good comments. Right now you're sending them to me privately. So if you go to the 2, you can include everyone. So Sean was kind of asking, and what is an, you know, clarification on what is an ISA and a VA. And thank you for asking that, because I forget. And sometimes I take for granted that everybody knows what they are, and you wouldn't. So don't, it's totally my fault. So who can tell me what an ISA is? What does it stand for? And what does an ISA typically do for an agent?
I have an ISA is, and I only say this because not too long ago, I had these exact questions and had to figure it out. ISA is an inside sales agent. As far as I know, the key distinction between an ISA and a VA, which is a virtual assistant, is that an ISA is licensed. So because they're licensed, they are able to call your database and kind of speak on your behalf. Or speak in terms of the real estate market, et cetera, like that, which a non-licensed person like an assistant or a virtual assistant couldn't do. And then speaking personally, it'd be great, I think, in some cases, if you had like one person that could do all of it. But in my case, I have a VA that helps me with my social media, helps me with my newsletter, does graphic design, knows Command and can do database work. But I also work with an ISA that does calls on my behalf and can also do more specific stuff in Command as well.
Cool. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, so an ISA, and just to clarify, so an ISA does stand for Inside Sales Agent. And I'm going to give you the traditional definition first, and then I'm going to kind of share with you what is happening now more. So an ISA traditionally was somebody who was on a team or that you hired that would be responsible for fielding incoming phone calls for example, like leads that come in from sign calls, or to have a conversation with the person who's interested right away and be able to have scripting around that and then convert them to an appointment. There is also an outside sales agent, an OSA, which is somebody who does outbound calls for like farming or, you know, calling out. So calling in, calling out, which is one of the reasons, incoming calls and outgoing calls, one of the reasons it's an ISA versus an OSA. Now, I'll tell you, OSAs really aren't that common. Pretty much everybody is considered an ISA nowadays, at least in real estate. And that ISA may or may not be licensed. They don't have to be. However, my recommendation is that they are, for the reason that reasons Jonathan mentioned, because it does allow them. We have our ISAs get licensed because they can have deeper conversations with prospects. They don't have to turn that person over to you as the licensed agent right away, which can be a time waster for the agent, because the ISA now, if they're licensed, can actually pre-qualify them. They can do your initial intake sheet. They can, you know, they can feel freely they can send them information on properties and nurture them until they're ready to buy or sell within 90 days. And then they go to you. So there's a benefit to having an ISA that's licensed. So that's what it is. Hopefully that helps. And typically ISAs can get paid multiple ways. They may get paid. So if they actually are on a team, they may get paid a base or an hourly or an upfront fee of some kind, or a training fee or something like that. But the majority of their money gets paid on a closing. So their job and their goal, and this is where they have a vested interest in your success, is they will get paid. And this is another reason they're good if they're licensed, because you can pay them this way. If they're not licensed, you cannot pay them based on commission unless you do it off of overall profit, quarterly profits. But basically you can actually pay them, for example, 15% of whatever they set appointments for you, and that closes. So they're calling your database, they set appointments for you from people that you already have a relationship with. And then that person closes a transaction, which you wouldn't have otherwise done without the ISA calling them or nurturing them. And then the ISA gets paid, say 15%. And it varies depending on who it is, what they're doing, whether they're on your team or they're an independent. So hopefully that helps. Virtual, great explanation. Okay, great. Virtual assistants are basically administrative support, and they do everything from, so like, for example, if an agent said to me, I really want to have all my contacts put into command and on smart plans, and I don't want to do it, who do I get? That's where a VA comes in. It's somebody who has admin skills, that is technologically savvy enough and ideally knows command and can work within your database and do that for you. And they can take all your contacts and move them into command and do tags if you want. Now, ISAs can do to an extent, they're going to add information in your contacts because they're calling people, but typically your VA is the one that's really going to be doing the admin work, and they're going to get paid an hourly rate or some kind of a fee that they charge monthly, depending on how many hours they're putting in. But an hourly rate, I mean, you can hire a VA right now. So that's one of the reasons we partnered with Aloha Real Estate Solutions, because they have VAs at $10 an hour for our agents. And then that the 80% company, which I'm involved in, is doing the ISA, started hiring ISAs for our agents because they needed the help. So anyway, okay, we spent a lot of time on that, but hopefully that gives you a good explanation. And your first hire, so again, if we look at the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model, remember that your first hire is going to be your transaction coordinator typically. So because you're going to want to generate some of your own business with what you're doing every day on your own calls, you would hire a transaction coordinator no matter what on any deals that you do, which by the way, we have an in-house transaction coordinator now. It's Elisa Sinclair, who's awesome. And then your next hire is typically your virtual assistant or some other type of admin support. The ISA is tricky because you want to lead with revenue. But if they're only getting paid on the back end, then you are leading with revenue because you're actually not paying anything until they close and they help you close more transactions. So anyway, if you want more information about that or need help, if you're in coaching, talk to Nicole. If you're not, you can talk to me or Stacy. Nicole says, put in how many people you're going to add. Yes. Okay. We talked about that. Do we have a list of skilled ISAs? Okay. So Anthony, yes. I think I answered that without looking at your question first, but that's part of what I'm doing for you guys is sourcing and hiring ISAs because nobody else has time to do it. And it's time consuming. So yes, we just hired another ISA who is going to be helping us. And as many as we need to bring on, we will to support the agents. So we've been doing it little by little, but if you do want an ISA, Anthony, yes. Tony says, my number one priority is making sure all my database has information, context. Exactly. Make sure that you have all that information in there. And okay, I think we've answered all the questions for now. So let's go on to strategies. So strategies, my recommendation is that you do not put more than 3 strategies, even though there's 5 lines and 5 sections. If you're going to have 3 priorities, 2 strategies in each section is usually enough. If you're going to have, I mean, you don't even have to have 3 priorities. You can have 2. We like for you to have 3 because we want you to have, not have all your eggs in one basket in terms of where your business is coming from. But already what we put in section 1 is going to take time and time blocking to accomplish. So I wouldn't put more than those 3. I think if you look at your sphere of influence and database and you added 10, you did 10 contacts voice to voice every day or 20 with an ISA, and you added 10 new contacts daily, and all of those contacts were added to command and put on a smart plan, guess what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
You would be that much closer to your goal. I mean, you're going to have more to do than you have to worry about doing 10 more strategies.
Exactly, Aisha. So it's going to start to pay off. You're going to get results from that. Those are the activities that are going to produce the results that are going to lead to transactions for you. Sean says leads. Yes. Okay. So the next, let's go on to priority number 2. And again, you can you can do your own, but just that's my recommendation, that if you have too many, you're not going to be able to do it all. Then you're going to have to go back and reprioritize. Priority number 2. So in Rochelle's case, she said KW agent referrals. So Rochelle, do you want to share strategies around how to maximize getting referrals from Keller Williams agents?
Yep, I actually have a spreadsheet with the 50 states. Of course I do, right? So that when I get a lead, I can just kind of look at my spreadsheet.
I love that. Okay, so one thing is, so this is also for you to be able to quickly refer out clients and take advantage of the referral network that way, and then you get a referral fee, right? Okay, so that can add to your GCI. So let's say, I'm just gonna say, if they didn't have this, create, a 50-state spreadsheet. So a quick reference spreadsheet. Now you can also obviously have these people in command in your referral network, and you can sort that way as well. So you can also add them to your referral network in command. So I'm just going to put those 50 states. So it's a quick reference sheet so that you can easily take advantage of referring out and getting that referral business. That's awesome. What else? What else might be a way to maximize your referral network that you guys have, which, by the way, we have 180,000 people. There's enough referral business to go around. Any other ideas, or tell me what you guys have seen? I mean, there's one that I talked about. Who was anybody on the regional call where I spoke with the Northern California and Hawaii region about the top 7 things that our agents have been doing that have produced results for them? I talked about referrals, and I talked about referral groups on social media. Any other ideas about how you could maximize referral opportunities within the company?
Corporate events, and once we get back to going to the events, be a great chance to network.
networking events. And Tony, I mean, right now, like family reunions coming up in February, yes, it's digital. And do you have the ability to network at those? Like you did a mega camp?
Yeah, and I just did the commercial summit too, so we've got some networking going on with
perfect. With so events are great, even if they're digital right now, because attend, and I'm just going to say attend 3. No, we should probably make it greater than that, because you have opportunities regionally, you have opportunities statewide. So I'm just going to say attend 5 KW related events in 2021. So family reunion, mega camp, commercial summit, luxury, regional meetings every month with Northern California and Hawaii, classes that were including Oahu, Kauai, all the islands. There's many different things, because you can, like in family reunion, like they had in mega camp, you'll be able to do like the special events that they have where they're social. You can talk in chat rooms with other agents and pass along referral information. So there's ways that you can do that. That's another good one. Another one would be to join the KW referral groups on social media. There are a lot of them. Social media, KW referral groups. That would be another one. And be active. Be active. Another one is Randy is super good at this one, and 1/3 of his business comes from referrals from KW. Probably Rochelle, you guys have got to be close to that too. You guys really maximize referrals. So I don't know, was it 1/3 of your business, Rochelle, last year or so?
Sure was. Well, actually, no, it was actually 70% of our business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's huge for you.
Yep.
Okay. So obviously you've got, that's something you're going to continue to cultivate. So for Randy, it's about 1/3 of his business, maybe a little bit more. And what he does is every time he travels, and he travels a lot, and I know right now we're not necessarily doing that, but he will, when he goes to Las Vegas or California, even internationally, he will specifically schedule, he'll connect with agents in that office, he'll look up who's in that office, who's got high levels of production, he'll contact the team leader, he'll ask to be in their team meeting and to speak about what's going on in the Maui market. He will take their top agents to lunch or coffee and network with them and build a referral network through doing that. He will ask for the business. I mean, the guy goes and does this, and then he is the person that becomes the face of Maui real estate in these other Keller Williams offices and market centers and team meetings. And that's done it for him. So, something like that. I mean, just in terms of where it can fit within something that you're already doing. If you're part of the, Tony's commercial, so he can do an email blast, putting agents in your contacts and tagging them as Keller Williams Associates and putting them on a smart plan. Just treat them like another lead that is going to eventually have business for you. So add them to smart plans, create smart plans, so I'm just going to put add to command contacts. And then because we've already agreed that we're going to have everybody on a smart plan, in strategy number 3 and priority 1, that they'll go on a smart plan. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. Next, social marketing. So I know some of you have this, and which is why you wanted to do it. So we will spend a little time on going through these strategies. So what are some of the things that you can do in social marketing to help contribute to closed transactions?
Market.
I'm going to let you. What is it?
Market.
So market, meaning, are you talking about like Facebook ads?
Meaning just use social media marketing as how it's supposed to. You utilize command. I used to have a media company, and I can tell you guys that the command reach is about 13 times if you were to do it on your own, knowing the algorithm with Facebook. I did side-by-side testing. If you're not utilizing command's Facebook ads, you're missing out. I think I have 162 leads for my ads I ran this month on them.
Awesome, Tony. 13 times. That's a great number for people to know. I love that. So I'm just going to put social media, social ads through command. And so what we need to do though, and when you do your 411, which is the next step to this GPS, is breaking down how many ads is that? What does my ad campaign structure look like? Every time I take a listing, am I just adding it into my listing checklist? Because you should have a listing checklist. So I would say, you know, we're going to do that by adding it to our listing checklist. We're going to do that by promoting other office listings, listing checklist. I'm just kind of putting on here so you guys can see. We're going to promote other listings. We're going to do, you could also do a CMA. A good one is a interactive ad that allows them to fill out a lead capture sheet to provide a CMA, which is especially right now, you know, the what's your home worth? What is your home worth? Classic one. Oh my God, I can't spell while I'm talking. What is your home worth? What is your worth? Okay, sorry. All right. What is your home worth? So social ads through command, that's one. What's another one? How do we also maximize social marketing?
Daily posts, just
daily
regular
posts. Yes, so daily, so a schedule posting calendar. Posting calendar, that includes personal, business, cat pictures, etc. I mean, you don't really have to write that down, but I'm just saying that's everything, right? So just being active. Oh, okay, thanks, Eileen. I'm just looking to see, okay. So yeah, a posting schedule or a posting calendar in addition to your ad schedule or ad calendar is good because you're active. You start to, you know, it's a social platform. So you want to build relationships with people. The other thing I would highly, highly recommend that you do, which we learned this tactic from Tony Giordano like 4 years ago when he came and did it. He's a specialty. He wrote the book, The Social Agent, which by the way, we have in the office. And his specialization is business from social media. I mean, the guy has made a business out of that. And he now speaks all over the country about what he does. And one of the things that he taught me that is fantastic that not a lot of people realize is you can create your own groups. And I'm not talking about Facebook group page that people are members of. I'm talking about, say, you like groups of people that you want to see their posts and make sure you interact with. So that could be like in Tony's case, he has one group that was called something like high net worth. And it was all people that he knew were high net worth people that he knew on Facebook. So people who owned, you know, businesses, corporations, financial, you know, traders, like, and he put them all in a private group that nobody else sees, only you see it. You can actually add people to a private group that you call high net worth. And then you can put them as a priority of whose newsfeed you see. So to make sure you always see their newsfeed. So you're always interacting with them. You can comment, you see what's going on in their life. You can send them private messages. So creating, I'm going to just say personal groups. I forget what they're called off the top of my head, but you can go on there and find them, and it's a group. You could also do that with, so Marcus, if you want to build your profit share and you want to be purposeful about that, another thing you could do is create a group of other agents, other realtors anywhere. I mean, or people that you could do realtors that are existing realtors that may be interested in moving companies and where you start to interact with them more. You could also create This wouldn't really be under social, but there are websites that will attract leads for people getting their license if you want to do something like that. But anyway, personal groups, so you can interact. And I'm going to just say, I'm going to create 3 personal groups. Yeah, question?
Or just, is there anywhere
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm losing you. Are you driving? He sounds like a computer.
That in Facebook, and is there a specific, or is there somebody that we know that you could?
So I didn't get all of that, Jonathan, because I think your connection is
sorry.
funky.
I was
what
just
I'm
saying,
going to
is there
tell you,
somewhere we can find out how to do that in Facebook?
Google. Yes, Google it. Just Google it. Honestly, you'll find it. Or if you go into Facebook and go to their help section and put like group, I can find out what it's called, but I bet you can find it in there. Does anybody know what that's called? It's like, it's like private, it's not private groups. It's, it might be private groups. It's under your, I don't know if it's under your settings, but I guess if you have trouble finding it, let me know. But honestly, I'm pretty sure you can either Google it or go into Facebook's help section and just say, how do I create a private list? I think it's something with list.
It's a custom group.
Custom group, is that what it is?
Yes.
Custom,
you can create custom lists on Facebook.
Custom lists groups. Yeah, if you can't find it, Jonathan, let me know, but I think you'll be able to.
Thank you.
And then you're welcome. And then I'm going to put, and then this is going to be part of my interact, you know, weekly or something like that. Whether it's through private messaging, you know, PM, post comments, etc. And that stuff you can break down further on your 411, which is your, the next step to this is breaking it down, which we'll talk a little bit about. You know, I'm putting a little more details on here than you necessarily would. That would go on your 411, but this gives you, you know, some ideas of how to generate the business through there. So anything else on strategies, social strategies? I did mention that a couple of our agents have done an incredible job closing business from social media. And what they've done is, I'll tell you a couple things they've done that have worked really well. One is they're members of all of the referral groups. And 2, they interact with them and they're friends with all of those agents. So what they did is they became friends with agents that are part of those referral groups so that they're seeing, and again, creating lists and seeing more personal posts from them. So they're interacting more so that when their area gets announced, oh, we're looking for somebody in Maui, their names come up like all the time. And Rochelle and Kaylee have done some of that too. So that's one of the things. The other thing is they've created, some of them have created a lot of community related posts, whether they have a private group page that they've started that's about Maui community related things and not about real estate specifically. They also post and then they get members to that. That has helped them as well. The other thing is they're posting videos on their personal Facebook page, and some are real estate related, some are not, they're personal. They go to a restaurant, they talk about the restaurant, they show the restaurant. They also do it for real estate showings, opens, virtual tours. Those kinds of things produce huge results, you guys. So being more active in that way would be another thing that you can do for social strategies. Okay. Any questions on the 135? If not, we're going to move on. And do you guys have a 135? Everybody have one now? Everybody should have one now. Okay, and you can tweak it if you want. I expect that everybody has one. Okay, questions. Let me see.
Okay, yes, I have a question real quick.
Yes, Aisha.
So unfortunately, I jumped on your call maybe 15 minutes into the thing. So I was trying to see, I have an agent and coming in agent to KW. He's working on his licensing. So yes. I'm gonna be, he couldn't make this call. So I'm gonna have to transfer all that. Is there any documentation or material you plan to share with us after this class?
I can, so you should have an email. Let me see, is Cheryl still on? Cheryl, did Aisha get the email with the documents?
She should have.
Okay, so you should have in your email, Aisha, the...
Sure did, yeah.
Okay, you should have the
no problem.
templates.
Okay,
And then the next thing that we're gonna start to go over. Okay.
Yeah, and I was just writing by hand, it was just helping me, but what did you have in objective? I couldn't see it. You were already scrolled down in the sheet.
Oh, okay.
I saw the strategy, I saw the goals, but I couldn't see the objective.
300,000 in GCI.
Woo, okay.
Okay.
Big dream now, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure. Cheryl, I'm admitting somebody else in. I don't know who it is, but they're on their cell phone. So maybe you can chat with them and see who it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next. So now what I want to do before we move on to the budget is I want to help you guys create an implementation list. So based on what you did in your 135, it's a little bit jumping ahead because we're not doing the 411 today. So a 411, if you're not familiar with what that is, that's where you take this 135 and then you create a sheet for each month. So I would look at my strategy and my sphere of influence saying, I'm going to do 10 calls every day. And then I'm going to create a sheet that says, that shows me my daily task. So if you need help with 411s, you know, Randy Antonio teaches that class. You can take that class. Nicole, if you're in coaching, your coach can help you complete the 411. But I'm going to actually skip ahead and go right to implementation list today. So now what I want you to do is take what you, let's just go with your priority number one and what you put as your number one strategy, which was 10. So in our example, it was 10 voice-to-voice contacts daily. Whatever your number one strategy was, no, let's just do an implementation list for the entire priority. So I'll give you an example. Maybe that will help. Let me just go back here. I'll do an example and then I want you guys to take some time to do it. Okay. So my priority number one is sphere of influence database. I said that I was going to do 10 contacts voice to voice daily, add 10 new contacts to the database. And then I'm going to put all contacts into command and smart plans. So I am going to create a task list around doing that. Literally, what do I need to do and put in my schedule to make sure that I can get that done? What are 10 tasks that I would need to, so this is where I want you to write down. I don't have a sheet for you. You're going to write down 10 tasks that you need to accomplish to make those strategies happen. So just start with a 10 task list. Okay, let's do this together. We're going to write down 10 tasks. Task number one, what do I need to do? Any task related to those three things.
Make sure all your contacts are in command.
Okay, so I need to get them into command. So get into command contacts. So what am I going to do? How do I get the contacts into command? Literally, let's break this down. How do I get them into command?
Log into command.
Okay, but where are my contacts now? And where are they going from? And how am I importing or exporting?
Grab them from your phone, from your Facebook, and then having Scott Leroy do the purge.
Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to export contacts from my phone. Okay, right?
Yep.
And I need to export from Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to export from Facebook and create CSV files, right? Yes. So those are tasks, you guys, right? Those are tasks. Okay. I have to do that in order to get this done.
Lisa, I have a question.
Yes, Karen.
So I've had my same email for eons, and majority of the people at whatnot, it's so mixed with humans and clients that you know, and a bunch of other stuff. How do you focus your, you know, when you're downloading, how do you not have too many people that you don't want in your database,
You have to do that after the export. So you got to export everybody into a CSV file. Then you can scrub the CSV file if you want before it gets imported, because you're probably going to have to reformat it for the, and by the way, does Scott Leroy Marketing do this? And by the way, do you get that included by being a member of KW, of our office? Yeah, Scott Leroy, the marketing company that we pay for you guys to utilize, actually will help you do this. And you don't have to pay them.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. So, so we have to do the exporting, and then we're going to have to scrub our lists, like what Karen's saying, right? If we want to add in their scrubbing list, which by the way, this is where it becomes the most time consuming. And this is where people get hung up and they never import. So I'm going to tell you, I don't even care if your list isn't scrubbed. If you spend 2 days of time blocking scrub lists and don't get it scrubbed, just import it. I don't care. Get it done. Like there's a point where you just got to say, forget it. I can't tell you how many of our agents get stuck on this stage and never get into the importing process. And so then they never get the smart plan. Stacy's raising her hand. Okay. We get so caught up on scrubbing the list that now granted, you want to scrub it because that'll help make it clean coming in. But if you're not going to do it, it's better to have everybody on a smart plan than nobody on a smart plan. Okay. So scrubbing lists would be another task. What would be another one? Do I have to actually create the smart plans that I want? Yeah, I got to actually create the smart plan. So how am I going to do that? Okay, so I need to, and the purpose of doing this task list, you guys, is because then it's time blockable, whether that's a word or I made it up, it's time blockable. Once you get these things into a task list, now I can actually put this on my calendar and I can figure out how much time it's going to take me to do it and what resources I need to be able to do it. Okay. So now you have your list. So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to just finish your own list based on these examples that we just did of your tasks to accomplish your strategies. And priority number 1, make your 10 task list now. If you haven't, I'm going to give you a few minutes to do it. So do it now.
Hey, Lisa.
Yes.
Just so everybody knows, the in command, they've now made it so the smart plans are like shareable. So that's a really great resource that we have, is that you don't actually have to create the smart plans if you don't want to. Just go into that database and you can find ones on lead gen, on follow up, on, you know, you type in what topic, and then there's a ton of plans that have been created by other agents. You can even see how many agents around the country are using them. So if there's a smart plan that 1,000 or 3,000 agents are using, it's probably pretty good. And then you can adapt it to make it your own or just use it. So that's just wanted to point that out.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. And yes, that is so true. You don't actually have to create. You can go into, Stacy put in the chat box, you can go into the design library, you can, or go to the smart plan library, and it will show you all of the smart plans that agents have uploaded that are successful agents that are killing it with these things. Use one of theirs. I mean, don't reinvent the wheel, but you have to time block the time to go in and do that and pick it and put it and assign. Or have your VA assign once it's picked. It's so easy. That's a great VA job. Say, here you go, I'm going to pay you $10 an hour. This is the smart plan I want to use for these 500 people. Can you please add them all? You could actually do that really easily. Actually, you can add people in a group now. It's so easy. It won't even take that long. Okay, I'm going to let you keep doing your list. And then I want to hear some of the tasks that you have. And then we'll talk about blocking those in to your calendar.
Hi, Lisa.
Yes.
Question real quick. So are we using the 411 to list the tasks or just a separate sheet?
Just a separate sheet.
Okay.
So I literally want you to just write down 10 task list, priority number 1, and then just 10 lines and just write down your tasks.
But they correspond to the strategies, like we
they
take
would,
one.
yes. Yep,
Okay.
corresponding to the strategies, yes.
Okay.
All right, what'd you guys come up with?
Join Facebook referral network groups.
Join Facebook, great, that's awesome. Great. Yeah, so now now let's time block, okay, around this. So if you're gonna join the Facebook referral groups, how much time are you gonna spend doing that, and when are you gonna do it? Are you gonna time block time each day to do it? Are you gonna hammer it out over 1 day or 2 hours and just get to all the ones you can possibly find? Okay, so what you need to do is take that task. Okay, before you take the one task, here's what you're gonna do with your list of 10. So you have your list of 10 tasks. Now what you're gonna do is I want you to narrow that down. You're basically, this is a one thing exercise. You're gonna take your list of 10, see if I can draw this for you. On the back of a piece of paper that I have here. Okay, we're just gonna ignore this on the bottom. We're gonna take our 10 tasks. All right, we're gonna take our 10, okay, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. You're gonna take your 10, your list of 10, okay? And then you're gonna pull over 5 to the right. You're gonna prioritize. So we're gonna take our 10 task list, and then you're gonna look at that 10 and say, out of these 10, what are the most important ones that I need to do first, okay? And then I want you to create a list of 5, and then you're gonna do that again, and you're gonna create a list of 3, and then you're gonna do that again, and you're gonna create a 1, your first one.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, so take your list of 10, you're gonna pull out 5 from that list, identify the top 5 in your list of 10. Then you're gonna identify the top 3 in your list of 5, and then you're gonna identify the top 1 in your list of 3. You're narrowing it down to your number 1, your one thing, your first.
Got it, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Lisa, can we also just hear a few more examples of people's tasks? I'm just curious what people came up with.
Sure. What other tasks? Yeah, I was going to ask people what their one is. We can hear other lists though, other on the list. What are some of your other tasks on your list, you guys?
Hi, Lisa, it's Stace.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I looked at who I went and had appointments with, like my doctor or my dentist and all those people. Add that to my contacts.
Great. So going back through your calendar to look at who are people that you want to add for your adding to contacts. So for your adding new people to contacts, you're going through a list of people that you know.
Yes.
So you're time blocking to go back through who you know to add them to your database.
Correct.
Great. That's great. Who else has a task to share? They're probably still doing their one, getting to their one. Okay, share with me your one. Some people share your number one that you came up with, your first one.
I don't know if this qualifies as a task, but something I've struggled with is just I have gobs of contacts, but not necessarily in Hawaii. And so I'm trying, even on Maui. So I'm trying to, I just need to add contacts. I'm not meeting enough people. I see you adding 10 on yours, you put 10 contacts a day. That just sounds so daunting to me to add 10 a day. So, I mean, one a day, I think I would be happy with, but I don't know if that qualifies, but that's my number one, is because adding them into Command and Smart Plans and all that isn't going to work unless I have the contacts. So.
Do you have all of your contacts of everybody you do know elsewhere in Command?
I put in the ones from my phone and I think my Gmail. Yeah, I've got some serious scrubbing to do. There's a lot of X's in there.
Okay, well, so Stacy made a good point, which is she looked at her doctor, her dentist. Who do you know on Maui that you've gotten professional services from? Where do you go normally throughout your regular day? I mean, you live here, so you're in the community. So think about where you shop and where you bank and where you, things that you do and the people that you interact with, and talking to those people when you're in the process of your normal day, and then adding them to your contacts.
Right, I guess I'm just a hermit.
Well, you're in real estate, my friend, so it's hard to do that. Or you can do it through social media, like Tony said. You can create an ad and you can get leads that way, and those people can turn into contacts. And those are people that you do online. You never have to leave your house, and so that's
another thing to keep in mind. When I was first doing this, I was intimidated because it felt like everybody I knew like 10 agents, which is probably the case because that's how it is on Maui. Yeah. But I just want to say it's worth it to just, I know it's cliche, but to be bold and give your card out or remind people that you're doing it now, because the number of people that know agents is really high, but the number of people that have an agent that they're absolutely loyal to is a lot lower. And you'd be really surprised at how many people, if you go out of your way to just say, hey, I'm doing real estate and I'm really passionate about it now, or, if there's any way I can help you, that, or the timing is such that if you do that, that's when they need it. Or, I'm just saying it's worth putting yourself out there, because I was intimidated at first, and I think I've gotten a bunch of people from my, just known list because I put it out there.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love it. Okay. So a couple things now, 2 things I want to mention. One is whatever your number one on your list is, I want you to right now time block to do that in your calendar, whether it's an hour-long task, put it in whatever day you're going to put it in, sometime within the next few days. The other thing is if it's something that's going to take a series or a couple more hours, then block it over the course of whatever couple of days it's going to take to get done. Really, one task shouldn't take forever. So that's one of the reasons we're doing it. We're breaking it down to bite-sized pieces, and you should all have a calendar. If you guys are not using, you know, like a Google Calendar or something that you actually put your stuff in, your tasks, your appointments, that's number one. You can't live a life of a high-level business without doing that. So put it in your calendar, time block it right now and put it in your calendar. So you're going to do that right this second. While you're doing that, another thing that I want you to time block in your calendar is, obviously, if it's 10 contacts per day, that needs to be time blocked into your calendar. And that's literally, I'm calling people and I'm talking to them. So what you might have a task around that is, who am I calling? That's usually where people get hung up. It's like, okay, I'm time blocking. I'm going to make 2 hours to call people. Who am I calling? So they go hand in hand, is adding people to your database, because you can start to call people within that database. But if you're, you know, these are the people that you know. So even if you have to work off of a spreadsheet or your Facebook account or your email looking for people's names while you're implementing these tasks and getting your database in order, do that. Because otherwise what's going to happen is you're waiting till you get it all situated and foundationally built, and then you're not making calls and you're not actually moving your business forward. So you do kind of have to do a combination of both. You're going to have to function a little bit. You know, Stacy, we were talking about this yesterday, like you were putting notes on a spreadsheet and people's names. Well, that's fine. You just got to get that then into command, but at least you're doing it, and you are also doing it while you're putting your systems together. So that's the other thing that you want to time block, is making sure that if you have a set amount of people that you're contacting and you're talking to voice every day, put time block that in. And you're going to leave messages and you're not going to get everybody. So you have to, you know, also block in time to be able to catch up on people calling you back. Okay, so we're all putting that one task into our calendar, and then your homework is going to be to put the other tasks on your list of 10 into your calendar. And then you're going to do the same thing for the other priorities. And guess what happens when you're done?
You get busy.
Yeah. You all of a sudden know what you're doing every day, and it's productive and it's building your business, and you start to get transactions. So that's how you develop what your schedule looks like around your goals and your priorities for the year. Can this change? Yes, you can course correct if you're working on something that you're doing and it's not working. You can start with just the number one strategy in each category and get that done first and move on to the next and move on to the next. If that's more comfortable for you, it needs to be manageable for you. The other thing that some of you are going to realize, and this goes on to our next section, there's 2 more things I want to cover today, is time blocking in general and where I see people run into challenges. If you're finding, as you start to block these things into your calendar, that your calendar is full with other things,
just texting them. Okay.
which may or may not be related to your real estate business, your job is going to be, and let me stop screen sharing here, hang on a second. Your job is going to be to clear your calendar first, okay? And how do you clear your calendar? There's a couple ways to do it. One way is an exercise I know Jonathan has heard, and Karen, I think, has heard from me, and is, I do this with a lot of our agents, is they track what they're doing every week and every day. You start creating a diary of what you actually do throughout the day. So you can pay attention to what you're spending time on. And what you will discover is that you're doing a lot of things that aren't efficient in terms of your time, and they're also not a priority in your business. Now, granted, if you have obligations, like, you know, you've got to pick people up from places, you've got to homeschool, you've got to, you know, go watch somebody or take care of pets, or like things that are normal life stuff, those need to be time blocked too. And those are important. You just have to work your schedule around it. So everything in your, everything should be time blocked in your calendar. So what I want you to do is start to take out, to replace things that are in your calendar that are not moving you forward towards your goals, that may be something you can delegate, that you don't need to do, or that you can block into time during a weekend or a certain day of the week, and just start to get more efficient with your schedule. This is an art form and it actually takes time to do. So I'm just giving you the 30,000 foot view, but that's what you're going to need to do. If you're finding as you're plugging these things in that you don't have the room in your calendar, it's because you're not efficiently using your time and you're not prioritizing well enough as either. Okay. You can even, yeah. Question?
That is priceless. Truly.
Yep. So you can get into color coding. I mean, I do a class. I haven't done it for a little while, but it's basically the one thing workshop. And I go really deep into calendar and time blocking. And people ask me all the time how I do as much as I do. And it's because I'm really good. Now, granted, even though I'm time blocked really well, I was telling somebody yesterday that I think I have a psychological problem, that when I see a puka on my calendar, I have to fill it with something. So that's my own issue. Beyond that.
But I would love to take that class if you do it again soon.
Sure. Yeah. And I can help you with that, Karen, too, in our coaching. But beyond that, it's basically time blocking everything. So I actually put my tasks in my calendar. Some people don't put tasks, or they have a separate list where they put their tasks. I time block my ideal schedule. So before I've even scheduled it. So if you look at like my January well, January's not good because I'm traveling, but if you look at like my February calendar, you will already see, okay, well, that's family reunion. Let me just, I'm seeing if I can show this to you. I don't know if I can show it on my phone. Anyway, you'll already see things time blocked. Let's see if this will read. I don't know if this is going to work. In my calendar for February, see the green boxes, the orange boxes, the red boxes? That's February. I'm not even there yet, but I have them scheduled out because I know what I'm going to put there. I know that my ideal calendar is having appointments in the afternoon. So that's what I have time blocked in there. And I have things color coded. Green is money making. Yellow is personal. Orange is an appointment that's not necessarily money making. And then red is something like if I'm teaching and I have to be there because I'm teaching. Anyway, so just some side notes about that. So what I want you to do, so did everybody time block their first task? We all good with that? Woo-hoo! Do we feel like we're accomplishing things, you guys? Are you actually like feeling like you're making, okay, good. Like you're getting clarity around what you're supposed to be doing next year. Okay, good. Thank you, Aisha. All right. The last thing that I want to cover is the budget. Well, one other thing I'm going to show you as a resource, which Cheryl emailed to you, is the MREA task list for megas. So this is another thing. I mean, it's going to kind of overwhelm you a little bit, but I'm letting you know that it's here. So if you're not sure what tasks you should be considering in your business, there is this really cool thing that I sent to you that I love. And for most of you, you're going to be focused on level 1 or level 2 in this spreadsheet. And what it does is it lists 162 tasks that a mega agent in real estate would have on their plate, meaning that's something related to their business. And they're categorized under things like goal setting, planning, and leadership, lead generation, advertising, and promotion, seller prospecting and servicing, buyer prospecting and servicing, transaction and closing coordination, administration and accounting. Okay, and then research and communications. I think that's it. So what this does, that's cool, is it will give you an idea of some things you may need to be thinking about that you never thought about in your business. Oh, wait a minute, I need to have a mission and vision for my own business. Like, I don't have that yet. Okay, I need to create business development, which might be an org chart or what my hiring will look like down the road, what I want my organization to look like. For lead generation, things that I need to be thinking about are listing and buyer packages. Am I doing gifts? You know, what kind of systems do I put in place? Community service, marketing opportunities, time blocking research to do that. Anyway, it gives you advertising, designing marketing materials, lead tracking. So all of these things are pretty cool. Level 1 is meaning you, the agent, are doing everything. You don't have a team, you don't have any admin support, you don't have anybody working for you. So it's your job to do all of these things. P means it's a priority. So those are the ones you would start with. Okay, if it's a P, it's a priority. These are things you basically need to have a foundational business. So it gives you some ideas of things that you can add in to your strategies or your tasks. And because sometimes people are like, I don't know what I need to do. So I wanted to send that to you so you had it. It also is really cool because it shows you how to grow your business under the MRA model. And if you hire somebody, what they would do, what your administrative assistant would do, what your transaction coordinator would do, okay? Okay, last thing is budget. Fun thing, we love talking about budget. I know you guys love this. It is fun when we're looking at money we're making, right? So this is something that I sent you that I had received when I took Mark Bredeman's business planning clinic. And it was the best, simplest spreadsheet. I mean, we have this in other formats, but this was a really cool, P means priority, Crystal. Let me share this with you. So you can pull up this. This is, you're welcome. This was in your email as well. And let me just move this out of the way. Okay, so this is really cool because this gives you an already formalized, is that a word? I'm just making up words today. It has formulas in it. It's a spreadsheet. And it will automatically tell you where you are compared to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book's ideal percentages, depending on where you're at in gross commission income or what you want your income to be. This one allows you to do a net income, but it does not include, I don't think it includes taxes. No, it's really net income after you take out expenses and cost of sales. So for example, it's just a cool tool to show you. We do it in Ignite 1. So those of you who have taken Ignite 1, you're going to do this as a paper exercise, but you can do it right here on the spreadsheet, which is figuring out how many transactions you need to close to get you to your goal in terms of your income. And, but this matches it against the percentages in the MRA. So you have a total net income. So this is basically what you want to take home, your checks, what you want your checks to be after your expenses in your business and your cost of sale, which is your splits with the brokerage, okay? And then it's going to tell you the total gross income you need to earn based on your expenses and your cost of sales. And then you're going to pick an average commission amount based on what you think your price point is and how many units you need to sell. So it's pretty cool. You just plug in the number and then your expenses. So what I did here is I said, okay, I want to net $300,000. And based on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, my expenses should be no more than 30% of what my gross income is going to be. And my cost of sales should be no more than 30%. So it's a profit first model. 30, 30, 40 is the model. Cost of sales is 30%, expenses is 30%, 40% should be profit. As far as you guys are concerned, I would not, where you're at in your business, this is for mega agents that have teams. If you're an individual agent, or you might have one person working with you, or you have an admin, your percentages should be lower than 30%. because your organization is smaller and you're doing more of it yourself. And you probably shouldn't have that high of expenses and your profit should be higher. So just as a side note. So what I did is I said, okay, well, my expenses are $60,000. And by the way, marketing is usually 10% of that. And then there may be whatever other expenses you have, and you can create a budget sheet around this. But say my expenses are $60,000 a year for everything related to marketing, or maybe paying an admin assistant or something like that. And then my cost of sale is whatever I spend out based on a transaction, which is typically going to be your split with the brokerage. And so I just put 38,000 because we cap on what we collect as a brokerage and in royalties. So 38 is the total. That's only 10% of what I'm earning. I mean, that's one of the reasons people are with Keller Williams, because in another brokerage, this number is going to be a lot higher. Okay, so my gross commission income needs to be 398. If I want to net, that doesn't include taxes, 300,000. And my average commission amount I determined based on my sale price, which was 750. Let me see. Let me just make sure. 2.75%. No, I don't know what I put on there. I don't remember. But anyway, maybe it was an 800,000 or 750 with the 3% commission. But my average commission amount was 22,000. So that's showing me I need to close 18 units to hit that goal at my average price point. And then this is where you can separate it based on how many are listings and how many are buyers. So again, the MRA model says you want 50-50. So I just used that as an example, but you can change it based on whatever you like. If you're a seasoned agent, somebody who's really buyer heavy, which some of you are, you're going to be higher on the buy side. Okay. And then, so here it's 50-50, unless you just make your goal to make it 50-50 next year. So I need to sell 9 listings, and my conversion rate from what I take in listings to what I sell is 75%. So I need to take 12.1 listings to sell 9. And then my conversion rate from appointments to listings taken is 70%. So I need 16 appointments to get 12 listings to sell 9. Does that make sense? I'm going through it fast because this is not a class on the economic model, but I want you to see how it is so you can play with it, because it's kind of fun. Because what it shows you at the bottom, which is exactly the exercise you go through in Ignite, is how many appointments. Actually, I think in Ignite, it only tells you how many listings you need to take and how many closings you need to have. So this actually tells you how many seller appointments you need to have per month and how many buyer appointments you need to have per month. What's cool about this, based on the exercise we just did, is if your goal is whatever it is on your GPS, you can see how many calls. You can start to track this, and you can say, I only need 1 seller appointment and 1 buyer appointment per month, or actually, sorry, 2 and 2, because we're rounding up. I need 2 seller appointments and 2 buyer appointments per month. So in order to get that, if I'm making let's say I said I was going to talk to 10 people a day. If I talk to 10 people a day and I get 2 appointments every week, what do I know about my activities? What do I need to do? So say my goal is, because this is 2 seller appointments per month and 2 buyer appointments per month. So that's 4, and that's 1 a week, right? So that's 1 appointment a week. So if I'm making 10 calls a day and I'm getting 1 appointment a week, am I on track to hit my goals?
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm making 10 calls a day and I'm getting 1 appointment every other week, what do I need to do?
Double your calls.
Make 20 calls a day. Exactly. So how much easier is it to work off of a plan when you know those things?
Much easier.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, I'm just looking at the thing. Stacy said you need to download the worksheets on your computer, then it can be fillable, enable the editing. Thank you for that. Okay, so
shot in the dark, that's for sure.
Yeah, right? Like, let's see what happens. I'm just going to do this and hope that it works. So what ahas do you have right now? And you guys tell me what you're discovering about where you're at and what you set for your goals. Give me some of your takeaways.
This is the most effective thing I've ever seen in my life, because I am kind of one of those, let's take a shot in the dark and see what happens, send up some prayers and pray that it works. And I've lived that way for way too long. This class on seeing the whole picture, not just bits and pieces of it, but how you piece this whole thing together, is priceless to me. And I think it's really going to help me a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome, Karen. Thank you for that feedback. And that's why we've been focusing for you, right? This is what we've been doing for you. We've been focusing you on just getting those, doing the activities, because I know that when you do the activities, those activities will lead to results. And you do have to do the right activities, and it needs to be customized to your goals and your plan and your strategies. So I don't want to put you all in the same box and say, this is what you have to do to get these results, because you all have different ways of getting business too. And that's great. I want you to, though, create a system around it so that you can have consistency, and you're not like a lot of realtors that may have a couple of sales and then they have no money coming in for 6 months. And then they have a sale and then they have no money coming in for 6 months. So you guys tell me, what other feedback do you have? Give me some other ahas and what you're going to do.
Just having this model that you just showed us, having a goal visible, it feels less like you're hacking through the jungle. You're more following a path. And I feel like a lot of times with my calls, I feel like I'm hacking through the jungle, and this gives me more of like a point to focus on.
That's great, Marcus. So, and print that out if you want, like print out yours, put yours in there, print it out and have it in front of you, that budget, that economic model worksheet. Put that in front of you. And then one of the things you can do, I mean, when I tell people this all the time, and it's no rocket science, is for me, I knew that I had to do 20 contacts a day. I needed to talk to 20 people to hit my goals. And that was ambitious, but my goal was ambitious. And my conversion rate was pretty good. So I just literally took a sheet and wrote 1 through 20 on it. And I circled, it was a piece of paper, and I had it in front of me on my desk every single day. I'm using it for my squat challenge right now, by the way. I did the same thing with my squat challenge. Stacy's seen it. It literally said 1 through 20. So whatever you guys decided on what calls you're gonna, or how many contacts you need to make, say it's 10, write 1 through 10 on a piece of paper that is in front of you. And then I just circled as I went. And when I scheduled an appointment, I marked 1, or I marked an appointment, or you can make a little green star. And so if your goal is to schedule 1 appointment for the week, or whatever it is, or 2 appointments for the week, just make your little stars. And once you've hit your stars, you're good, right? And then you now, and here's also what happens is now you have all the time to do all the other things that we put on your strategies, because now you've already gotten that big rock out of the way, and you've done it very efficiently. But yeah, I love that, Marcus. It's in front of you and it's not daunting, and you're not just hacking through the jungle. So Rosalina says it makes everything clear and simplified. Clarity is power. Yes, I feel empowered. LOL. Great. And Rochelle says thank you. Anything else, you guys? Any other feedback?
Oh, sorry, let me take my mask off. I like the aspect that we started with a really big goal, and then it just gets systematically broken down, into the priorities, into the tasks, and all the way down to the, what you're saying about how many calls and how many meetings and appointments. It's, because what other people are saying is really true. Like, if you've got a big daunting goal, I want to make blank amount of money, say as an example, or I want to do this many transactions or this much volume, it's intimidating. But if you break it down, it becomes a lot more realistic.
Great, thank you for that. So one of the other things that I talked about in the regional call that
and then
has,
today I had to run my
Sean.
wife down to Honda. Hang on, I gotta listen to a Zoom call. But
thank you, Sean. Oops, Sorry, I muted you by accident because I wasn't sure you meant to be unmuted. Sean, do you want to share? Sorry, unmute if you do. Okay. Sorry, the other thing I wanted to mention was, that I talked about in the regional call that sets successful agents apart from unsuccessful agents, or people that aren't as successful, I should say, is that they implement now. They implement right away. So what I want you guys to do today is whatever your one task was, get it done or make a move towards it, time block it, figure out a time to get it done sometime today and do it. And then I want you to time block your calendar with all those other tasks. That's your homework for the weekend, is get your entire schedule reorganized and time blocked. It doesn't have to be, and again, you don't have to do all 5 or all 3 even strategies. If you just get your time block done for your 3 priorities and your number 1 strategy, that will be a huge win. That will be a huge win. And then you just start, no matter what it takes, commit to implementing those things and chip away. And that's going to be your goal for 2021. But remember, you got to start the process and start working towards that. So if you start it before 2021, you're going to be ahead of the game because it takes time to implement. And then just figure out a way, however you need to see this in front of you every day so that you have and then stick to your time block. That's it. That's all I can tell you guys. So thank you. And that is everything that I wanted to share with you today. You have those sheets, get them implemented. And I love to hear about what your priorities, if you guys want to send me copies of your, actually, I'd love copies of all of your 135s.
I'll be there in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see you.
Okay, Bryce.
Yeah, see you.
Hey, Sean, are you there? Okay. I think he's accidentally unmuting. So email me your 135s. I want copies of all of them. Okay. By the end of the day, Monday, give me your 135s. Email me. You have my email, right? I'm going to put it in here.
Hey, Lisa, if they have a coach, make sure they send them to their coach too.
And send them to your coach. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, because I will not do that. I'll forget. Okay, thank you guys. There's my email. You probably have it. And 135, Sean, is the GPS, the first thing that we did. It's called a 135 or a GPS, which has your goal and your 3 priorities and your strategies. That's the sheet. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. I'm really excited for you for 2021. You guys are all going to kill it. So
thank you,
great job.
Lisa.
Thanks for your engagement and participation.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You need or tax help you can trust. Call Optima now for your free consultation. Call 800-574-9188. 800-574-9188.
Requests for meal deliveries are surging and they need your support.
Next day.